Hey guys, in this video, I'm going to discuss 5 players that I believe RASSIE could bring into the Springboks when he takes charge in 2024. Again, remember, the requirement for this kind of video is that the players have to be more on the youth, kind of young side. I think the oldest player I've selected here is probably 25 years old, but again, it's still he's not in his prime yet. So that's kind of the way I've kind of thought about it. But yeah, before we get into this video, just want to quickly give a shout out towards the Rugby DAO. They're kind of the organization now that I'm kind of helping out now as a community mod, and yeah, just kind of a cool organization that's kind of getting towards building really a Web3 community at the end of the day, and they're really just kind of trying to build like a digital kind of clubhouse, really, just for any rugby fan out there in the world, as well as kind of Web3, kind of metaverse, NFT kind of enthusiasts. So for anyone who's interested in that, I'll leave a link in the description below. Definitely check it out. It's highly advised. They just opened up the Discord, so I definitely take a look at that. But besides that, make sure to like the video, guys. Subscribe to our channel. And yeah, leave a comment below to let me know your thoughts on the players that I've selected, as well as players that you think RASSIE would choose to kind of go into the Springboks when he takes charge in 2024. But other than that, let's get straight into this. So as you can see right here, this is the first player that I've selected. I've gone with Mchunu here from the Sharks. He's a very impressive player. Again, he's only 24 years old, but he's been playing for the Sharks for a while, and he's a player who's kind of really stood up for me just because when you think of the Boks squad overall, props is definitely an area which the Boks need to kind of look more towards the youth side of things. With a lot of players now aging, again, you have like Kitsov and Fatima Herbert, of course, who are kind of known as the starting combination. But again, you do have the likes of Oxen Che, who's kind of making a name for himself following that recent World Cup. And I can definitely see him get a bit more game time, maybe even starting if needed. But again, if you remember, Mchunu right here, he actually starts for the Sharks, and Oxen Che actually covers him as the loose head prop. So maybe that's a combination which the kind of RASSIE may look to use, because he's actually a really good player, Mchunu. Like, I've seen a lot of his stats, actually. His running meters are pretty good. And again, he kind of reminds me in a way of like Taniela Tupou, in the way that he's actually pretty good in kind of finding those clean breaks. It's just I wouldn't say he's as good as his passing compared to Taniela Tupou, because that's just he just has that in the bag. But Mchunu, yeah, just be a player that I look at. And definitely a player I think that RASSIE would be interested in. But again, moving on towards the second player that I believe that RASSIE would be interested in, and that would be Johan Grabelar. I think he's a very good player. And again, before we get into him, I know he's injured at the moment. He has that ACL injury, which he did pick up recently. But again, he's played, 5 games so far of the URC. He's had 1 try within it so far. I mean, even like last year, look at his last year's form, he was like incredible. So you have to remember that overall as a player, he's pretty impressive. And again, he plays hooker, and yeah, he's just one player that I believe RASSIE could definitely bring into this Boks squad, because when you look at the hooker position, I mean, yes, you have Malcolm Marks, who of course had that big injury, so he wasn't available for kind of literally most of the World Cup. You had Bongi Manomi, who had to really step up in that position, but again, he's also aging. And then you did have the likes of Dion Fourie, who kind of stepped up in his own case as well. But again, those two, I mean, with Dion Fourie as well as Bongi Manomi, they're just more aging in that sense. And I'm not even sure if they'll be able to participate in the next World Cup. But yeah, again, I know Malcolm Marks will definitely be the starting hooker, but someone like Johan Grabelar coming off the bench would be kind of a nice option to have. So that's another reason why I think he's someone that RASSIE may look to choose. But again, he has to come back from that injury. So we'll see what happens there. But again, they could look at Joseph Dweba if they wanted to, but I just didn't think that it worked, just because his line-out throw accuracy just wasn't the best when he was playing for the Boks. But hey, you never know, that could change. But for now, I would suggest Johan Grabelar as kind of a guy to look at in terms of that hooker spot. But yeah, anyway, moving on towards the kind of the backs now that I've selected here that I think RASSIE should take a look at. First one has to be Sasha Feinberg, Imgo Mazulu. He's just a fantastic player overall, guys. He can play. He's been playing center most of the time, but also he can play fly half if needed. Even he can play literally everywhere in the back line at the end of the day. I mean, probably not scrum half, but he's just a great player to watch, guys. He's someone I've had an eye out for so far while watching kind of the URC a bit when I can. He's just a player who's really stepped up, and again, I think he's had I think 2 or 3. I think he's had 3 tries so far out of the 7 games in the URC. He's kind of helped the Stormers to, I think, 3 and 4 so far in terms of these standings. So, I mean, they're not in a bad position. But again, it's come down to him a lot. He's part of the, he takes the conversions, the penalties. And yeah, he's just a player that I think that could be utilized a lot within the box squad, just because he's someone who, like I said, he's very versatile, but he's been playing within that 12 position a lot. And again, this is where you could kind of switch things up, because again, I know it's a bit different to what the Box have normally gone with, because they normally have kind of a big running man actually as that 12 option with the likes of, Damien Delende or just what Andre Este is if needed. But I think he's just provides a different option, similar to what Damien Williams could have done, or maybe what Andre Pollard could do in that position. But again, I mean, they're still bigger than Sasha Flimberg and Mgumazulu. But yeah, I just think he's a good option to look at, guys. I really do think he's someone that the RC should look into more and kind of take a bit more seriously and look at him if he's kind of a future Box, because I definitely think he is. But yeah, we'll see if he gets given the chance or not. Again, maybe then towards the fourth player that I think that RASSIE could go with and bring into the Springboks. I've gone with Henko van Wijk. I just think he's one player that has really done pretty well for the Lions. And I think out of all the players I'm going to list so far, he's probably he's like the most informed player, I'd say, out of everyone. Again, the Lions, they're not in like the best. They're not like high in the standings in terms of URC, but still, he's been very impressive from individual stats. I mean, he's had like 5 tries out of 7 games, which is pretty impressive. He plays center, of course, mainly number 13 position, but someone I really think that the Box should utilize, because again, that 13th spot I also think is up for grabs really now, because normally I would say Lekanyuam is kind of the player you start in there. But again, there's Jesse Krill, who did really well from the World Cup. He really stepped up, went to the next level. So, I mean, at the moment, I'd say it's Jesse Krill's position to lose. But again, there's Lekanyuam. But I also think Henko van Wijk is someone that I think RASSIE could look at for the future. Because again, I think he's only, 22 years old, if I'm not mistaken. So, yeah, he's a long way to go in his career. And he's someone I really like watching. He's just so quick with his sidestep as well. He's a speedster. So, at the end of the day, it kind of reminds me of what they did with, like, Kid and Moody. So, kind of in that 13 spot. So, yeah, we can kind of see a similar kind of thing with him, what they would do with Van Wijk in that position. But anyway, on to the last player here, which is Apefali Vassi, the player I've known for a very long time, going back towards the Super Rugby days. But just a player who, again, I think he's been able to play for the Box, I think, once or twice, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was actually against against Georgia, I think, before the Lions tour, if I'm not mistaken. But again, he's just a player who he's like I hate to say it this way, but he's like a miss or hit, because he's actually a really good player, and he plays fullback, just to clarify, guys. And he's so good in finding spaces within defenses, and he just unlocks it like that. But the problem with him is that he's great going forward, but he's had to work a lot on his kind of defense, because his tackling wise, he's definitely not. I'd say he's not as good, I'd say, compared to like what we've seen with like Willie LaRue or with Dalen Williams in that position. But over time, he's worked on that, and I think if he went into the Box squad, he could definitely kind of improve that to a level which RASSIE would be like, okay, we have something here, and we can obviously kind of develop that for the future. But again, Apefali Vassi, he's a player who I believe now is 25 years old. So it's just one of those where, again, it's going to be really one of those where if you're going to bring him to the squad, bring him back into the squad, actually, you want to do it now. And I think it's going to be fascinating to see if they do it or not, because, again, they have a lot of cover, you could say, in that position. I mean, you have Williams, Willie LaRue will eventually, I don't think he'll be available. Yeah, he's not. I mean, I'll be shocked, but I don't think he'll be available for the next World Cup. So it's going to be Williams' position to lose, but really more of a cover. I would not look at Vassi there. I mean, you do have like Warren Gallant if needed. I mean, he's played there a few times for the Box, but I think he's kind of out of favor now. And again, there's people like Curtly Lorenza who can play there, or even Chelsea Kobe. So they have a lot of options they can do, but I just think, bringing in some new blood, and I think Vassi could be that option. But anyway, guys, that is kind of the 5 players there that I believe RASSIE could bring in to the Box starting from 2024 when he takes over. But let me know, obviously, in the comments what you guys think. Let me know if you guys agree or disagree with my selections there. And also let me know in the comments who you would choose, because that's the most important thing at the end of the day. I want to know who you would select from a ball perspective in terms of 5 players. Remember, go more on the youth side if you guys can. Make sure they're below 25 years old, because we want to kind of bring in new blood. That's kind of the reason why I've done this video, because the Box are obviously aging, so we need new blood into the squad. But yeah, let me know obviously in the comments what you guys think. Make sure to like the video, guys. Click the like button. Subscribe to our channel, guys, if you haven't already. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time.